I realize this might sound completely crazy. Honestly, if anyone else told me this, I'd assume they were either making it up or had some wild dream. But I promise you, every single thing I'm about to share is absolutely true. It began roughly 2 weeks ago. I'd recently moved into a new apartment following a rough breakup. The place was inexpensive, tiny, but tidy. Honestly, I was just thankful to have somewhere to sleep. That very first night, I felt it right as I was falling asleep. This strange feeling crept over me. Like someone was watching. You know, that tingly sensation on the back of your neck. That heavy quiet right before a storm rolls in. That's exactly how it felt. I flicked on my bedside lamp and scanned the room, but nothing was there. Only the normal shadows thrown by the furniture. I told myself it was probably just nerves from everything I'd been dealing with lately. Still, the sensation lingered. The following night made it even stronger once I switched off the lights and settled in. An inexplicable urge hit me to peek over the side of the bed. I'm not a child anymore. I outgrew the whole monsters under the bed thing years ago. But something compelled me to check. Reluctantly, I leaned over and looked below. Nothing, just dust and maybe an old sock. I chuckled at my own paranoia, rolled back over and tried to relax. Then as I turned, something caught my eye in the mirror across the room. I nearly leapt out of my skin. There was a face, barely visible, partly hidden in shadow, partly illuminated by the streetlight outside, pale, completely still and staring straight at me from under my bed. I bolted upright, flipped on every light in the room, pulse pounding. When I looked again, nothing, just dust. I grabbed a flashlight, searched every inch. Corners, closet, behind curtains. I basically dismantled the place. Sleep never came that night. The next day, I convinced myself it was an optical illusion, exhaustion. Probably just my mind playing tricks. I was dead wrong. From then on, every single night I saw it. The same pale face beneath the bed, always frozen, never blinking, never shifting while I stared. It simply watched. It turned into a grim routine. I'd lie there sensing it, force myself to glance underneath, meet its gaze, then pull the covers tight and hope for unconsciousness. I even told a friend. She laughed, said I needed rest or maybe counseling. Deep down, I knew she was right. But last night changed everything. I refused to look under the bed. I was too terrified to move. Then at exactly 2:17 a.m., I felt the mattress dip. Like someone was carefully climbing in next to me. My breath caught. I couldn't move, couldn't blink. Next came warm breath against the back of my neck, followed by a whisper.
You finally stopped looking.
I jerked upright, heart slamming, flailing wildly. The bed was empty. I turned on every light. Nothing, closet, bathroom, under the bed, only silence and shadows. But in the mirror, my bed had no reflection, just the floor and beneath it, that same pale face.
This time, I'm certain it blinked.
2 years back during winter, my husband and I purchased a farm in a quiet Appalachian in town and moved in. Late October turned into early November, bringing cold, dreary weather. Our stove, oven, and little gas fireplace all ran on propane, which would help keep electricity costs low. So one gloomy November morning, we headed to the local Tractor Supply to buy and fill a propane tank. While standing in line talking about sizes and prices, a man, probably late 50s, stared at us intently. He glanced at a nearby woman's clothing rack, grabbed a flannel shirt, then kept staring and started walking toward us. As he approached, I noticed his clothes looked clean and new and his beard was neatly trimmed. To To my discomfort, he got in line right behind us. But way too close, I could literally feel his breath on my neck. I felt incredibly uneasy with a stranger that near still. It's a small town, so I figured people are friendly. I turned, smiled, nodded, and said good morning, hoping he'd back off. He didn't. Before I could even fully face forward again, he launched into conversation. It began innocently enough, small talk based on what he'd overheard. The cold weather, the slow line, him picking up his great aunt from the airport in a couple hours. Then it turned personal fast.
Where are you from? Where do you live now?
How old are you both?
Thankfully. Our turn at the register saved me from the age question.
For context, I was late 20s, my husband a bit younger. Our faces easily looked 20 or 21.
I politely told the man to have a good day and stepped up. While the clerk explained pricing, the man suddenly exploded, yelling at the teenage employee about how outrageous the prices were. The clerk calmly said it was standard. The man kept ranting, they're a young newlywed couple, give them a break. I told the clerk it wasn't a problem, that the price was actually better than other places. He wouldn't stop, muttering curses, then flipping to a sickly sweet tone toward us.
Hey, I've got a 100 lb tank I don't use at home. You can have it free if you want. Just come with me to get it.
My husband thanked him but declined. He pushed harder.
You sure?
My place is only 20 minutes away. I've even got another 40-gallon one you could take. Again, polite refusal.
He insisted. We have to do it now. I've got to head to the airport and leave town in 2 hours.
That detail didn't register until later at home. I just paid, so I held up the receipt with a firm yet kind smile.
No thanks. We just bought this one.
Annoyed, he tossed the flannel back on the rack and stormed out. The clerk tried lightening the mood with a crazy old people joke. We laughed awkwardly and headed outside. As we walked to the filling area, the same man pulled up in a pickup truck next to the propane pumps. The truck was old but decent, late 90s maybe, with a bed crammed full of random junk, barrels, tarps, boxes, a tent. Everything. He stepped out, looked at us, and started up again.
You should really get a second tank. It'll save trips and last longer.
Before I could respond, he added, if you don't want to leave your truck, one of you can ride with me and the other can follow to my place. With every y'all, his accent sounded less like the warm southern Appalachian kind. I said, no thank you, we're fine. Then he said something I'll never forget.
Come on, it's a small town. It's safe. I'd never heard such a lovely young couple.
The propane worker came out, told him to leave us alone and get lost. That finally spooked him. Without another word, he jumped in his truck and drove off. Only then did we notice his truck had no license plates. We still visit Tractor Supply every couple months to refill recently. The same employee asked if we'd seen the guy again. Apparently he shows up in winter when it's quiet and only approaches young couples. Pretty unsettling. Junojit Castle is a 14th century medieval fortress known for its many legends and reputation as one of the most haunted places around. It welcomes visitors, but staying overnight inside usually requires special connections to arrange. In May 2019, when I was 16, my parents a friend, and I got the rare chance to spend the night there during a trip to Poland. My mom's family in Warsaw knew some tour guides who made it possible. Being young and easily spooked, my mother never mentioned the haunting rumors beforehand. She didn't want to scare us. We knew nothing about the castle's history or local stories. Late that night, my friend and I were in a bed inside one of the castle's pillars, feeling okay at first. Then suddenly, a heavy negative energy flooded the room and pressed down on us both. It's hard to explain without sounding cliché, but it felt like pure impending dread. Like don't look around, just keep staring at the screen kind of dread.
We laughed nervously that the place must be haunted because goosebumps hit us simultaneously. Nothing triggered it. We just both got chills out of nowhere. What unnerved us most was that the feeling struck us at exactly the same moment.
A bit later, still watching movies on the laptop. Pretty late now. I sensed something watching me even though my eyes stayed on the screen. My friend pointed toward the corner near the dresser by the entrance and said she was getting terrible vibes and refused to look there strange right. We both described it the same way, without prompting. Maybe a shadow, a silhouette, or perhaps nothing visible at all, just standing in the corner. But we could both clearly picture her, a blonde, golden-haired girl, definitely female, radiating very dark, sad, or possibly angry energy. We couldn't see eyes or clear features, yet we knew precisely where she stood and what she looked like. The worst part was the overwhelming sense of being watched by something that didn't want us there. Once we acknowledged her and described her, we ended up clinging to each other on the bed, paralyzed by fear. My parents were in the master bedroom next door. I could have shouted for them easily, but we couldn't move. We huddled together, frozen, forcing nervous laughs while desperate avoiding looking at the presence. I'm not sure if she was mad at us specifically or just an angry, sad spirit overall, but eventually we simply blacked out.
There was no clear message, just an instinctive sense that this young blonde woman was with us. Then everything went black. The next morning we packed and left as fast as possible. I told my parents what happened. They were visibly shaken. Later, my mother admitted she hadn't told us earlier. But the castle legend tells of a woman murdered there centuries ago. Some versions say she was thrown into the castle. Others mention different deaths. Either way, her spirit supposedly remains, perhaps guarding something. I found very little detailed information online, and almost no other accounts. I'm curious about a few things from our experience. What are the odds it was real? Especially with two witnesses. Is it common for spirits to appear as translucent figures, orbs, mental images, or through some telepathic sense? We had zero prior knowledge of the legend, yet our encounter matched it eerily. That's either an incredible coincidence or something more. My parents felt nothing that night. They went to bed early and slept peacefully. Though my mom said the portrait facing their bed kept giving them odd, cheeky glances. Solid information on this place is scarce if anyone has heard of Junajit Castle or knows more. I'd really appreciate any details. Today I walked alone in a remote area of Roanoke, VA, and I swear I'll never do it again. I've dealt with random men following me or offering rides into town before. Maybe twice a month at most. But the short 9-minute walk with my dog turned into a nightmare. 3 different men offered me rides. Others waved from their cars, and one homeless man actually chased me. I was terrified. The few small shops I passed were closed for Sunday, and I was the only person walking anywhere. The homeless man spotted me from far off and started shouting, "Hey, hey, come here!" I ignored him and kept going. He stood, grabbed his bag, and began jogging after me. I scooped up my dog and ran. He sped up too. I ducked behind an old, seemingly abandoned house and hid. Then I bolted into the woods until I reached a remote gas station. Those isolated areas feel straight out of a horror film or a perfect hunting ground for killers. Honestly, if someone had caught me in those woods, they could have done anything. No witnesses, no cameras, just creepy abandoned houses and endless trees. That's why I was so panicked. If he'd reached me, we'd have been totally alone. I still don't know why he chased me like that. Also, one guy who offered a ride turned his car around and drove the opposite way after I refused, like he'd only approached to ask. He looked young and attractive. Another girl might have trusted him. The other men offering rides and the homeless guy were all much older than me. I have no idea what was really happening, but the sheer number of solo men offering rides, plus the chase, it felt almost coordinated. I'm just stunned at how often strange men approached me, as a young woman walking alone on a deserted road. Maybe I'm paranoid, but I seriously doubt they were just trying to help. This happened back when I was a teenager, so some details are a bit hazy. My family had a dog, and one night I let him out in the backyard to run around and do his business. I went inside planning to bring him in soon, but then my brother and I heard him barking like crazy. He barked at nothing all the time, so we weren't too concerned. A minute or so later, I went out to call him, and normally he wouldn't come easily. I'd have to yell his name a few times. That's what I was doing when my brother suddenly screamed my name from his window. He sounded so panicked that I ran inside immediately without thinking. I rushed to our room and asked what was wrong. His answer chilled me completely. He said someone had been standing almost directly behind me the whole time I was in the backyard. That's when I realized I'd accidentally left the back door open. We grabbed our mom, found a bat, and cautiously opened the door. We got the dog inside and checked the yard. The shed door was wide open, something we never did. My brother also said he'd seen a light inside it earlier. I think someone had slipped into the shed while I was out with the dog. They must have heard us and tried to slip away. A little earlier that evening, my brother had insisted he saw a man enter our backyard. I don't know if it was the same person, but it's definitely possible. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before. I'm sharing it because having a random stranger suddenly appear that close in your own space is genuinely terrifying.